Can a rideshare strike work? In my humble opinion, yes, they can. We're going to talk about that. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim with another ride-sharing video. Now, for you folks who watch the content presented here regularly, you know I'm no fan of striking alone. I often speak negatively of strikes. However, I do believe a rideshare strike could work, and here's why I say that. And obviously those who believe otherwise, it's because we don't have a lot of unity among drivers. But here's my take on that. As you may know, there's a host of strikes going on around the country. Number one being United Parcel Service. Earlier this year, UPS, the delivery company, threatened to go on strike. I don't quite remember what they were asking for, but they got it. They're no longer on strike. The Screen Actors Guild, the folks who write your favorite TV shows, write the scripts and things like that, they went on strike. SAG, Screen Actors Guild, whatever you want to call it, there was a writer's strike. I'm a big fan of TV shows like Chicago PD, Chicago Fire. They're not starting on time this fall because there was a big strike. Now, they have settled the strike, and once again, I don't know what they wanted either, but they got it. And after the Screen Actors Guild, we all know the United Auto Workers, I believe they're still on strike. Now, we do know some of what they're asking for, and in my humble opinion, they're going to get a lot of it. I don't know if they're all going to get a 40% bonus that they're trying to mimic after the CEO. CEO of the company is getting a 40% bonus, so the workers are like, we should get the same shit. That's probably not going to happen, but they will get some, they will receive some of the proceeds. I'm sure they're not going to come off that strike unless they are somewhat happy. And now it's been announced that Kaiser Permanente, largest healthcare, one of the largest healthcare outfits, has a host of employees that are going on strike. So why are there so many damn strikes in the run of just a year's time? A lot of employees in the W-2 world are getting fed up in regards to dealing with the same shit that us as rideshare drivers, whether driving for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, all of this shit. The gig economy is doing to drivers and workers a lot of the same shit that unions were originally created for. So it goes without saying that eventually you're going to have unions in the gig economy. May not be tomorrow, may not be next week, next month, or even next year. But when you look at how folks are being treated, it is only a matter of time. I mean, the stories are legion at how bad these companies are treating drivers and delivery people and things like that. So it is coming. So how could it be successful? Now, I personally worked for two union jobs as a young man. Back in the early 90s, I worked for United Parcel Service, UPS. And then I later worked as an engineer with AT&T, known as Ameritech, Southwestern Bell Communications, and that was with IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers in Telecom. So I've worked for two unions. And the reason the unions work is because we had what is referred to as a closed shop. A closed shop means as a condition of being an employee, you have to be in the union. It's not optional. You have to be united with your brothers and sisters that you're working with. So to become an employee on the floor, you had to join the union. Now, obviously, the last thing employers want is for you to be in a union. So they don't like closed shops. They're constantly trying to convince employees that you're better off without being in the union, or they're taking your $30 a paycheck union dues and they're misusing them or whatever. They don't want you to unionize. But if we had legislation, and this is the only way this could happen. You would need legislation passed, and this would start out in small cities with mayors and things like that that gave a damn about our interests. And there are a few. Minneapolis, Seattle, now you're seeing New York. There are a few places where the local government gives a damn about the interests of rideshare drivers and gig workers. If you could get some of them to pass laws, if we could get some of them, because it's something we'd all have to be involved in, but if we could convince some of them to pass a law that says anyone driving rideshare in this metropolitan area has to belong to the, the ride sharing union or whatever the union is. That way all drivers are in this union. You cannot get a permit or whatever the hell. You don't get permission from the city to engage in ride sharing unless you are part of this ride share union. They could take 10 cents, 20 cents out of every fare, whatever the hell they want to take. And I can tell you this, I don't give a fuck if it's $1 out of every damn fare. If they could rein in the greed of Uber and Lyft, it would be fucking worth it. They could damn near take 20% of our fare and still be worth it because Uber is taking 80. If you could get Uber back down to where they used to be back in the day where they took 25% of the fare, there'd be plenty of room to pay some union dues. And this is the way it would have to work. You'd have to get legislation that requires all drivers to be a member of some type of local rideshare or gig economy union. And because that union is getting a certain tiny percentage of your fares, your food deliveries, or whatever the hell you're doing, they now have money to operate and fight on our behalf. That is how unions work in other organizations. That's how it worked for me in AT&T. That's how it worked, I believe, in UPS and a lot of other places. You have to be in a union. You have to pay a small amount of your check towards union dues. But I'll tell you this, before you get to bitching on how much they're taking out of your check, if you were in a union, your checks are much fucking bigger, period. Doesn't matter what job you're talking about. Compare an employee involved in any job that is in a union to another employee doing the same shit that is not in a union. And you'll see across the board that union employee is doing better. That is the way we could get unions in rideshare. But once again, as I always say, it has to start with legislation. So when folks are striking and getting politicians to give them a listening ear, that needs to be what is coming out of people's mouths. Let me know in the comments, what the hell am I getting wrong? Anyhow, just wanted to drop this on you, something that came across my mind, wanted to get your take on it. So always, it's your boy Tim. Subscribe to the channel, click the like button. See you in the next video.